Dr. Verma, Chairperson, Open University of Mauritius, Dr. Kaviraj Sukon, Director General, Open University of Mauritius, Mrs. Gopi, Registrar, Open University of Mauritius, board members, academics, representatives from the public and private sectors, members of the press, academic staff, graduates, your families, friends, dear students, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, all protocol observed. It is indeed a great pleasure for me to be among you this afternoon, for graduation is a landmark. It is an important occasion. For all the hard work that you have put in, it finally pays off. For the past few years, you have been laboring, combining studies with full-time or part-time employment. And that is not easy. It requires a lot of discipline, and that's why I've been saying it's laboring and spending several hours on assignments and research. It requires dedication, commitment, and discipline to get here. With support from your families and friends, today you're reaping the rewards. It is an occasion to celebrate your success. As freshly graduates, you will now embark into the world of employment and build a successful career from now on. However, you have an important role to play in building the future of your country. The Open University of Mauritius offers a variety of programs and career opportunities. You should now look into the future and be an active participant in the future development of this country. Some of you are already in full-time employment and performing that role. My dear graduates, respected guests and friends, how do you get engaged? And I think there are two levels of engagement. First, as professionals. Mauritius is developing rapidly, and you can see the signs of development wherever you go. In the last 50 years, the country has been transformed from an underdeveloped economy to one of the fastest growing societies in Africa. The indicators point towards future and further growth, social and cultural changes. The digitalization process has already begun and likely to continue. Consequently, our institutions have to respond accordingly. Institutions like the Open University of Mauritius has a portfolio of courses and programs that are geared to the economic needs of the country. Whether you're a graduate in human resources, business administration, or information technology, you are a graduate with credentials, and therefore you are now a professional. Hence, you should be engaged and engage actively. Your role is vital, and there's a demand for the skills and the competence that you have just acquired. So that's the first level of engagement at the professional level. Now, there's also another level of engagement, and this is more in the area of community development. Community work and volunteerism is highly rewarded. You know, when you are studying, you are acquiring skills, competencies. Now it is time for you to also give back to the community. And this is what I mean, a second level of engagement. You also have to look after the community and also be engaged as a volunteer. Give some of your time supporting your community. Building communities is an act of citizenship, and it is a civic responsibility. And I think as citizens, we all have this responsibility because we have to work towards improving the betterment of our society. Be a local advocate, be a community leader, be an active citizen. You can now share the knowledge that you have acquired at the university. And there are a lot of things you can do at the community level. There are some very simple and basic things that you can perform, basic tasks. Imagine if each of you plants one tree, what will happen in 1 year? Just imagine the number of graduates in the last 3 days who will be graduating. This is just one example of community development. Therefore, engagement, in addition to your professional role, to your professional engagement, it is equally important for you to get engaged at the community, at the social level. The scriptures teach us that when we take something, we have to give something back in return. Giving starts right here. You are now professionals. You'll be working. You'll be successful in your career, wherever you are. And don't forget, you also have the act of giving as part of your civic duty. You have acquired knowledge, skills, and values. And these are meant to be transmitted and shared. As you receive, you also need to give back and share. When you give your life, when you give something, your life will become richer, more rewarding. Mahatma Gandhi once noted, what you take from Mother Earth, you also have to replace it. If you cut one tree, you should plant two. This is called civic education. And throughout your life, you will have to exercise your civic duties and responsibilities. Whatever you try, you have to try your best. Because if you don't try your best, you will one day say, I wish I had done that. And if you don't try, you wouldn't know what you are capable of doing. If you don't try, you wouldn't know what you can achieve. For it is only by trying and through our mistakes that we become better citizens and we improve. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you a story to illustrate this point. Now imagine the jungle of Africa. It's lunchtime in the hot sun. All the animals in the forest just had their lunch and they're resting under the trees. Suddenly, the giraffe spots some smoke in the horizon. He stood up and looked at the smoke. Didn't pay any attention at the beginning, but then after a few minutes, the smoke became dense. He stood up and looked at the smoke and realized the smoke was coming towards them. Few minutes later, the smoke became thicker. And now the giraffe realized there's a fire. The animals were resting under the trees, and now the giraffe stood up and said, the forest is on fire. The animals stood up, all of them, looking at the fire coming towards them, the smoke getting thicker and thicker. All of them looking in panic, fear, looking at the fire coming towards them, thinking the unthinkable. Finally, a hummingbird, a small bird, I think it's called pick, very small. The hummingbird looked at the smoke and decided he has to do something about it. So he ran towards the river, picked up a drop of water and went toward the fire and dropped the water on the fire. The fire was getting closer and closer to the animals. The rest of the animals were just looking and wondering what will happen to them next. In the meantime, this little bird, the hummingbird, back and forth from the river, fighting the fire on his own, drop by drop. The rest of the animals were just looking. And finally, the giraffe looked at the hummingbird and said, "What are you doing?" The hummingbird said, "I am simply doing my best. Because if we don't, we're all going to die." Now, the message in this story is very simple. If we don't do anything, if we don't do nothing, then there will be regrets. So don't be like the animals in the jungle, but be like the hummingbird. Now, this story has a powerful message. That's why I wanted to share it with you. I also would like to share some personal experiences with you, since this is graduation, and I am supposed to be sharing some experiences to motivate you, and I hope you will enjoy some of the stories. I left Mauritius when I was barely 17 years old, and I went to England. I had no idea what would happen. As a teenager, I knew very little. 17 years old, hey, what the hell do I know? Very little experience. So I landed in this strange country. I had no idea where to go and what to do. All I knew, I wanted to study, but I was totally alone. It was a difficult moment, and I had to go through trials and tribulations that some of you probably would. I thought I could speak English, and Mr. Chairman, you know what? I had a credit in English, so I thought I would do very well. However, there were surprises. I first had to manage the language problem, and I found out that my credit in English was very limited in England. I had no idea do means money. I had no idea a pint is a glass of beer. Chippy is fries. Poorly means to be sick. Pie is pastry. And I also learned the Englishman's best friend is his dog. So there started my challenges. And it took me a few years to navigate, try to understand, and comprehend the local culture and the language. In addition to that, I landed in London in the month of October. That was the beginning of winter season, and it was cold. So I had to, among other things, I also naturally had to deal with British weather. Thus began my challenges. I wanted to get admission at King's College. I stood in front of the college and wondering if ever I will get admission there. But you know what? Although at that point it sounded like a dream, I realized that nothing is impossible. And I learned that perseverance is the first rule to success. If you persevere, you have your goals well defined, there is no way that you're going to fail. Life is not meant to be easy, but take courage. And it can also be very delightful, therefore do not lose hope. Indeed, as I found out in my travels, in my trials and tribulations, nothing gets easier, but over time, you do learn how to navigate, and over time, you do develop skills and competencies that will allow you to do the things that you'll enjoy the most. If you fail once, try again. And the famous scientist, Albert Einstein, A school dropout himself once noted, failures only lead to success. So if you fail once, you have an obstacle, you do not give up. You have to move on. Do not be despair, for if you are confronted with challenges, you only become stronger, and the road does get smoother. Ladies and gentlemen, my studies in England took me to far places, like in Canada, Australia, and after graduating, I started my academic career at the University of Alberta in Edmonton, and for 30 plus years, I was a professor, and I walked through the walls of universities just like seeing students graduating, and I've seen many of my students succeed. So I have no doubt that you will also succeed in your life. My experiences have taught me the following. Number one, you need to persevere in order to achieve your dream. You need to have commitment. You need to have discipline. And most important, you need to believe in yourself. Because if you believe in yourself, then you will be able to get to your goals. With these attributes, you will carve out your path to success. Now, as you embark on your future career as graduates this afternoon, reflect. There's a whole world waiting for you, but there will be challenges, and you should be strong, you should persevere, you should have discipline in order to overcome those challenges. Think of your country, think of your community, think about the two levels of engagement I just shared with you. Think about the difference you can make as you embark on your path. Teach others and point them to the right direction. Collectively, we can make the world a better place. On this note, I extend my congratulations to all of you, my best wishes to you and your family. Enjoy the celebrations as you deserve it. Graduates, friends, distinguished guests, I thank you for your kind attention. Good afternoon.